I think that he could genuinely be like an XFL legend, like the greatest player in XFL history. Has a lot of success in RPO and option offenses. He's great after contact. He likes to set the tone. He's clearly a leader. People rally around him. Dude, could this guy be it? Now, I don't think he is as physically gifted as a Taysom Hill, but like, can he be like a short yardage dude for you? Can he play, like, can you beef him up and will he play fullback for you? Will he block and pass protect as a fullback? I don't know, but just throw 30 extra pounds on him. Just have him be like this bowling ball, short yardage fullback. You could even dust off the fullback pass play out of the old playbook if Diego Pavia is your fullback. So welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Trevor Sikkema, Connor Rogers here with you guys, and it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time of year. The sun is shining. The heat is beaming down on Connor's office right now because he just had to lower the AC because it is summertime, baby. And that means that it's time for summer scouting. Here it is, episode 1. We're talking quarterbacks today for the 2026 NFL Draft. Connor, it's so good to be back, my friend. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I've been so excited for this, and it was nice to get a little bit of a slower buildup of watching these guys. I know you and I got through a lot of different players, specifically for this episode, because everybody is so quarterback hungry, quarterback starved. And, you know, I've missed doing this. Like, you and I haven't talked about player evaluations back and forth for over a month now, because we did some different stuff, of course, grades after the draft, some more fun things, and this is the nuts and bolts of the show, and it's cool that this is a couple of years now we've been doing summer scouting. I have noticed the growth and interest from the audience on a level that I never thought could exist. So besides the fact that it has officially reached the 80s, and I hate the heat, man. I really, really do. It's like we were brainwashed as kids to love summer because that's the time you're off. And I do love summer because that's the time where I have the most downtime and time off.
Don't act like you hate it too much. I saw the IG story of you in the fairway a couple of days ago. I saw you getting out there.
Yeah, being bad at golf, doing a lot of nothing, not getting a haircut. This morning, dude, I was at my kitchen table, just sitting there minding my own business. Literally, I was minding my own business. It was very early in the morning. I don't even think I'd poured a cup of coffee yet, just eating my oats. I think I had the laptop open to see if I can get any last notes in for today's show. And my wife is still working, and she's on a hybrid schedule, so she goes into the city, 3 days a week, and then works from home. She's dressed real nice, and she's like, she's like, what do you got today? And I'm like, it's actually summer scouting is back. Like, I got to record Stock Exchange. She's like, it's great. She's like, what else? And I was like, it's pretty much it. It's summer. And I was like, anything you want me to do? And she's like, why don't you get a haircut? And I sat there, I haven't even had a sip of coffee. And I was just like, are you kidding? Like,
just gets after your ass.
Like, not like mow the lawn, build something, put something up for us in the house, take the dog somewhere. I was owned.
Yeah,
why don't you put in the newspaper that I was owned.
Yourself? Why don't you?
Why don't you actually try to have some human decency?
It's like the scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where like it's like at the beginning of the movie where she's like out doing all the interviews and he's, he's in the robe with the cereal. You shall not pass. Like, that's you.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall is got to be in my Mount Rushmore of movies I've seen the most. Because when it's on TV, it's the Shawshank Redemption effect. There's a couple movies like this.
For sure.
I will just always watch it every single time. I think you could argue that it's maybe one of the most repeat funny movies of all time.
I think for a long time I said it was the most underrated comedy.
Now it caught up.
Now I feel like I've said it so much, it's not really underrated anymore. It's just a really good comedy.
Great movie.
Yeah.
So here we are. I'm happy to be on with you and not being owned in my own house. It's a good change. I'm working again.
Next week when we do running backs, you're going to have the freshest fade we've ever seen.
I think I'm going to hold firm.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, I don't have any weddings to go to until the middle of July. So I think
Are you gonna Field Yates it? Shout out Field Yates, good friend of the show.
Field is really the lettuce is gnarly,
dude.
Yes,
when I saw a picture of him, I almost texted him the other day. I almost just screenshotted an IG picture, and I was like, oh, okay, Sam Hartman. I see you. I see you out here.
I think I'll cave before that, but I'm just happy that we're here.
All right, and me too. You know what? Stand firm, and by stand firm, I mean listen to your wife and like all
surrender
instances.
immediately.
Yeah, absolutely back down.
Yes.
At all points. Couple of housekeeping items for the addicts because it's been a little bit since we have caught up with you guys, and I just wanted to let you know. I am not wearing this hat to troll you. I am wearing this hat to let you know. Hold on. Got to share the screen, but I got to find the button. Hold on. There it is, baby.
Wow.
There it is.
Oh, my God. Look at the staging.
The NFLSC hat, complete in my guest bedroom. Wonderful background that we have here. You guys can check out this. So the website link here is nflscshow.myshopify.com. That's where you can find this. I already have extreme regret for how little hats that we have.
Well, because we built it up as this exclusive release on accident.
Right.
we just wanted to get the hats and sell them like the next day and see if people liked them, we'd get more. And now we built this up for literally since the combine.
So obviously, if these things sell out really fast, I will immediately order a bunch more. So these are $40. Look, I looked up some prices of hats like around the industry. Like I know like Barstool and PFF and Bussin' with the Boys and like those guys, they're like $35 a hat. To be honest with you, our hats are from Branded Bills, who I absolutely love these hats. They're super high quality. They feel great. They're very comfortable. They're very lightweight. Like I think they're just a really high quality hat. And we just didn't order a lot. So like selling them at $40, like we're not making a ton from that anyways. We just love the merch and we want you guys to have it. So, if this sells out really quickly, then obviously I will buy a lot more and then that'll come at a lower price range. But I don't know. Anyways, we'll kind of figure it out from there. But settling on $40 a hat, so that's what it is. You got the black and the white hat here. You got a flat brim, and then you've got a curved brim hat here. You could click on it, obviously, see everything. It's pretty simple. I kind of went through it myself. Obviously, you just added the cart, and then you have it all there. Shipping, I'm just going to ask for grace from you guys right now because we are not working with a third party. I have never done this before. All of the hats, I'm staring at them in a box right there across my room. And so who will be shipping the hats to you guys?
Oh, man.
This guy.
You're a hero. You are a hero.
I will try my best to get them out as timely as possible. I know the shipping is going to say if you buy it now, it'll be there from 5 to 7 days.
Wrong.
I will try to get to UPS or FedEx or whatever it's going through. I will try to get there as soon as possible. But just so you guys know, it's a one-man show over here. So it is probably going to be later than the shipping. So I just want you guys to know that. We always try to be upfront and transparent with you guys. But NFLSCShow.myshopify.com. The hats are live. There you go. Stop yelling at me.
Please leave my family alone.
So there they are. We would love for you guys to buy some. We really appreciate all of the enthusiasm that you guys have for the hats. And like I said, if and when they sell out, we'll buy more. I'm going to be honest, it'll probably take another 5 weeks for me to get the hats back. And so we'll have to restock it and everything.
They're custom.
We'll make sure you guys know all that good stuff. Also, Google and YouTube, it always takes about a month-ish to get any sort of, YouTube ad payment, or in this case, the super chat money that you guys gave to us for the charities that we did for the 7-round live stream. That money came in about a week ago, and so we will be sending all that money off to charity. We'll be, I'll take a screenshot and I'll be tweeting it out to make sure that you guys know that your money was going to the place that we told you that it was going to go to. So once again, thank you guys so much for that.
Yes.
Connor's actually working with somebody. You have a contact at Tunnel the Tower,
yeah.
So I don't know if you'll have a screenshot or something, but he's working with somebody to get them that money directly there as well. So once again, just wanted to let you guys know that, be transparent and upfront with y'all, and once again, just say thank you to making that 7-round mock draft so much fun and all the money you guys gave to those charities.
We were blown away. We really were. So much so that we're like, oh God, we're gonna have to do this again.
I know.
next year. Like, I have no other choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
No other choice in the
can't wait.
best way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good. It's great when we do something on this show that we have limited expectations for, and our expectations are blown away that it's a proven concept with you guys that we're going to keep doing it. So.
Every single time one of those instances has come up, like you said, you guys have taken it beyond what we have thought that it would be. So shout out to all y'all. We love you guys. This is truly a family. And that was another just like a major affirmation that is the case. So with that being said, let's dig into it. Connor said that he watched about 18 quarterbacks here for this summer scouting exercise. I watched about 23. I'm going to try to make sure that the PFF board at the beginning of the season has enough players to where you guys can do 7-round mock drafts from week 1 on. So I'm trying to watch even more this year. So I got 23 of these guys done. Connor, you got 18. What we're going to do here on this show is we're going to give you our top 15 quarterbacks heading into the 2025 season, eligible for the 2026 NFL draft. We'll go in increments of 5, kind of like we normally do. And then when we get in the top 5, we'll focus in a little bit more on those guys that we have in the top 5 and why we have them where. Connor, with that being said, I'll let you kick it off. 15 to 11. Let's do it.
Doing the honors.
Let's get into it. Summer scouting officially begun, baby.
Summer scouting is here. It's never felt better. Everybody's just been dying to jump to this quarterback class, probably because last year just lacked, a lot of star talent at the top. You had Cam Ward go number 1, and then it was kind of a grab bag assortment. So everybody is trying to really see.
Well, I think the reason why is because, when the college football playoff was going on and when the bowl season was going on and we were approaching a declaration date for a lot of these guys that could have gone in last year's class, the argument was for a couple of these guys, guys like Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Allar, right? A lot of these guys.
Allar watch was prime time.
People were
TV.
They're going to be QB2. They're going to go. Yeah. They're going to go 2 overall to the Browns if they declare. And obviously those 3 guys didn't. We'll see. I'm very curious to see where they are on your list, just so everybody knows, as is always the case, we don't talk about this stuff beforehand. I have no idea what Connor's list is going to be. I don't know how he sees these quarterbacks. I don't really know who he's going to gravitate towards in this class. So this is going to be fun. Let's do it.
It's going to be awesome, man. That's the surprise factor is a lot of fun. All right, so, there's been so many transfers. I want to make sure that I am very good about announcing where everybody is at the moment. 15 for me is Miller Moss, who started the first 9 games for USC last year. He has now transferred to Louisville. So the Miller Moss combo will definitely be an interesting one. My 14th ranked quarterback is Darian Mensah, who...
I didn't watch him.
You didn't watch Mensah? Okay. We'll have
23 guys, and you're giving me somebody I haven't watched?
I know. That's kind of shocking. He played for Tulane. He's now at Duke.
I avoided this.
I know. It's like, how did this happen? How did this happen? I mean, listen, this is going to happen to me as well. It's just the nature of summer scouting. We're just working from scratch, literally scratch ingredients, you and I. We didn't really have a big back and forth about this. I caveat this every year, but there's going to be guys that I just don't get to over summer, and I raise my hand. I will try to be better every single year, and that's why, dude, we've really pumped up the volume, by the way. Have you gone back and watched our old summer scoutings?
We were doing 5 guys watching 7 total.
Right, we would do top 5s and watch 7 or 8, and then even last year I think we did top 12s at quarterback.
Yeah. Pushing the envelope every year. Now the addicts are going to be do 30 next year.
You cowards. Watch more FCS ball. So Darian Mensah's 14th. He will be playing at Duke this year, transferred from Tulane. Number 13, and this is a really, really interesting one that I'm curious if you watched. Eli Holstein at Pitt. Oh, man. If you watch 23 or 24, I must have missed something. Now I'm anyways, Eli Holstein transferred from Alabama. He did play for Pitt last year. Had some injuries, but
he transferred to Alabama?
He transferred from Alabama to Pitt.
Okay.
Started for Pitt.
Okay.
Last year. So we have actual tape of him at Pitt. He'll be an interesting player to talk about. Number 12, I know you've watched way too much. Carson Beck, who has now
Wow.
left Georgia for Miami.
Wow, 12.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy for a guy that, obviously was front and center of summer scouting last year. But,
Was he your QB1?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah, last year.
Because number 12 was my QB1 last year.
Interesting.
I have Wegman at 12.
Okay, so that's one guy that I didn't watch out of the 18 again.
Yeah.
Now I had him definitely in the top 6 or 7 last year, so I've seen a lot of him play.
Right.
Man, the Connor Wegman conversation is so back. Number 11.
Unfortunately, it's so bad.
It has returned.
He's in Houston now.
I know.
Yeah.
It's Texas for the state of Texas forever for him. Number 11, this is a guy that's getting a lot of conversation. I think people will have higher than me. Sam Leavitt, Arizona State.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
I kind of was prepared. I'm like, people are really going to like him, and he'll be in most top 10s for people. He just missed the cut for me at 11. So, yeah, there's the top 15. Miller Moss, Darian Mensah, Eli Holstein, Carson Beck, Sam Leavitt.
Okay, I have most of... actually, all of my names are different than yours, which is going to... make for some interesting conversations here. So I think we should focus on. So I have Miller Moss at 16 as well. I have him at 16. You have him at 15. So around the same range. When I was watching him versus LSU at the beginning of the season, I was like, hold on here. Like, we got something. Like, this guy was the guy who was sitting behind Caleb Williams for a while, and it made sense. It's like, all right, he's a former 4-star, but he waited his time behind Caleb Williams, and now he's sort of like free in Lincoln Riley's offense. But the more the season went on, that LSU game ended up being one of, if not his best game. I think he's got high football IQ, given how much football he has watched, how much he has studied. I think he's got some nimble footwork. I think his fundamentals are generally pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually really like him as a touch passer as well. The big issue for me is that I just don't think he has an NFL arm. Like, I just don't think he's really going to be able to push the ball the way that you need to push the ball. My early comp for him, because I had early comps for some of these guys, is like a Jake Browning type, right? Like a 7th rounder, an undrafted free agent kind of a player where, hey, if he's got to, like, if your starting quarterback is hurt for 2 or 3 weeks and he's got to come in, maybe he'll give you some good snaps. Maybe he'll give you an upset win here, but I just don't think that he has the arm talent to be a starting caliber quarterback at the NFL level. So Miller Moss is where I wanted to start there with him at 16. If you've got any thoughts on him, would love to hear it. But if not, I would love to hear who the guy was for you at 14, who I have not watched yet.
Well, I think you nailed it with, you brought up Jake Browning. I went ironically with a USC kind of like Cody Kessler.
Yeah, sure.
But the same bucket. I just wrote he's physically limited. And I think what's tough is when you are not a big-bodied, big-arm quarterback, you got to be able to run today. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't run.
Yeah.
And it's almost jarring how little of a rushing threat he is, because all of these guys, even guys that were pocket passer recruits, now chip in 300 to 400 rushing yards at the college level. They just run, whether it's zone read, RPO, scrambling. So Miller Moss, though, I'll be tight on just the good and why I think he can find success at Louisville. I mean, yeah, he's somebody that can win, I think, between the ears. And I think he really commits to mechanics, like sound mechanics. You see him, he wants to hang in the pocket. And rather than drifting, and this is probably just because he's not as athletic as a lot of these other guys, rolling out, he will make an effort to climb and step up into the pocket and work through his reads and deliver the football and keep his feet buzzing. I like that he kept his lower half working even when the pocket was clean, because it kept him in a throw-ready position. You could just tell those years on the bench at USC, which there was 3 full years on the bench, he really absorbed as much as he could, while also this dude got his bachelor's degree in 2023. Like, he graduated college in like 2 or 3 years and started
graduated in 2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, and started working on his master's. So, mom was a professor in USC School of Architecture. He's a very smart guy. And he doesn't take a lot of sacks. 94th percentile sack rate last year. He only took 9 sacks on 374 dropbacks. And I know, USC fans like he took some backbreaking ones for us down the stretch, but like overall on a snap-by-snap basis, he tries to get the ball out and tries to kind of manipulate the pocket. But yeah, you're right, Trevor. Just physically limited. And the name of this game, it's summer scouting for quarterbacks. We are going to talk about guys' talent so much where if you're new to the show and you're a college fan, like, yeah, it's great to be talented at the college level, but this is largely a projection exercise where physical traits matter so much.
Yeah, it is. And I think that that's a really good way that you brought it up. I love doing summer scouting. It's a lot of fun, but you do go about it a little bit differently. Like how we are judging prospects in the summer is different than how you would judge them in December and January when we're coming up with our what we are doing now is we're looking at film that we think is final college film and heading to the NFL. So you have to look at it a little bit differently because some of these players, the conversation is going to be a little bit different. And I don't necessarily, it's not a one size fits all for some of these quarterbacks. Like you really try to, in the summer, in my opinion, I try to look at who these guys are physically first, and then I try to look at how they play the game. And I'm trying to see okay, like Drew Allar, for example. We're going to get into Drew Allar. I don't know where he is on your ranking, but obviously we'll get to him a little bit later in the show. How we talk about Drew Allar right now will probably have more grace than how we would have talked about him in January if he actually declared for the draft.
Without a doubt.
Because if we were same tape, same exact tape.
Yeah.
But if he declared in January, we have to watch him as if the next snap he's taking is in the league. And instead, now we get to watch him and say, okay, I get it. He's been a starter for a couple of years, but he does still have another year. And there are ways when he could get a little bit better. And so if you're projecting that he could do those things, then the outlook probably gets a little bit more favorable for a guy who has a lot of physical talent, a little physical gift. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that as we go throughout this episode and really throughout summer scouting overall, it's good for people to know how we approach things and how it's a little bit different this time of year versus judging it a little bit more harshly that we would have done in January.
All right, so 14, Darian Mensah.
Yeah, talk to me about him. I didn't watch him.
Darian Mensah, obviously strong season for Tulane last year. He's only a redshirt sophomore. So this is a guy that might have a lot of college football left in him. But if a guy was eligible and is coming off a good year, I tried to watch him. And, transfers, I guess, technically up to Duke, although, this could be, Duke's going to have some dollars to throw around. 6'3", 200 pounds. Last year, this was somebody that had 22 passing touchdowns, 17 big-time throws. He only threw 6 picks, but he had 15 turnover-worthy plays. So there was a combination of not only, some fumbling there, but some luck, I think, where you hope that, the 6 interceptions, there was more risk at hand. Added only 250 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, not a big rushing threat, Mensah. He has a twin sister, Grace, who's on Oregon's soccer team. So talk about an athletic duo. My God. To have a twin sister, and she's on Oregon soccer team. So here's the thing with Mensah. Good ball placement in the middle of the field. Like the way Tulane would be able to kind of dial up these route combinations that would get short catch and run throws. And his ability with touch and timing on those was really strong. I thought he was another guy that understood how to climb the pocket and evade pressure while keeping his eyes up, because he's not this elite runner or escape artist like a lot of the guys we're going to talk about today. So what he would do is he would kind of try to play skinny in close quarters, climb the pocket, evade pressure, keep his eyes downfield, ready to throw rather than run. Here's the thing with Mensah that got him on my radar, Trevor. He had 102 passer rating when he was pressured last year, and he averaged 10 yards per attempt when under pressure. Yeah. So this was one of the better quarterbacks in the nation when it came to dealing with pressure and how to respond to it. And it's not just because he's this elite athlete, because he's really not. It's just a matter of he knew how to get the ball out and knew how to push the ball down the field a little bit under pressure as well and be really efficient. And then a lot of that is because this guy ate alive the blitz. He threw 15 touchdowns and just 2 picks when he was blitzed last year. So I don't think he's as elite against standard even number pressure as the numbers would indicate. I think he is phenomenal at understanding when and where the blitz is coming from and how to attack it and how to throw to the empty part of the field with it. So that Mensah is a guy that he's not going to physically wow you. I think this gets to some of the weaknesses. when you watch him on these deep throws, he exerts a lot of extra force. Which the thing you like about him a lot is on the short catch and runs.
Like it takes more of his body, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
What you like about him a lot is the touch and timing on the short catch and run stuff, the ability to see the blitz and attack it quickly because it's effective with how natural it is. And then when it's deep throwing time, I saw somebody that really had to kind of crow hop or load up in the lower half. Here's a weird one for him. When he had to throw 10 plus yards to the left side of the field, like outside of the numbers, not in the middle, the outside of the numbers, it was a legitimate issue. And it's a thing that I caught from a number standpoint and then watched it. I filtered it. And he was 8 for 17 in the 10 to 19 yard range. He was 2 for 16 on 20 plus yard attempts. And that goes back
outside the numbers?
Outside on the left side. On the right side, it felt more natural to him. But on the left side, you saw that load up phase where it was exerting more force, and that kind of lost his accuracy. So it's something to watch with him this year, just throwing down the field to the left outside the numbers. It just wasn't really in their holster as an offense because of that. 2 for 16, like that doesn't exist in your offense. And you would think that's something that a defense can game plan against a little bit in some kind of way or look out for. I just thought when he was throwing to the right or in the middle of the field, everything looked snappier. And it was like he was flicking the ball. Where he was throwing to the left, it felt like it was a more body throw. This is really interesting. I haven't seen a ton of this. He's more quick than fast. You don't get much running ability. The last thing I wrote as a question was like, does he have enough physical ability at the end of the day as a pro prospect? So Mensah, it'll be really, really interesting to watch his road as he transfers to Duke.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that we talk about here today that's the question, even for some of these guys that we might have hanging around our top 10, top 5s, is like, okay, you play a great brand of football, but do you have the physical ability? Because it is just a different game in the pros. And so we'll talk about that with a couple of guys. Sam Leavitt is a conversation that we'll have a little bit later in the show.
Carson Beck,
kind of the same way.
Eli Holstein, I'll go quick on.
Yes, Give me your thoughts on Eli Holstein.
Yeah, so Holstein's 13 for me. This is a massive projection from me. He did start games for Pitt last year. He's only a redshirt sophomore. He's 6'4", 225. He
strapped up.
He's a big lad.
All right.
He played 10
almost
games.
Host the pod. Not quite though. Yeah, you'll
Close.
get there, kid. You'll get
close.
There, kid.
Protein and creatine, and he's there. I mean,
up the creatine. That's what TikTok tells you to do.
He was banged up in 2024. Had a head injury. They missed the Clemson game, and then he had a lower body injury that shut down his season. He only missed the last 2 games, but it was pretty significant, obviously, to miss those. This is someone to me that you just notice on tape. The size goes hand in hand with the arm. That this cat can make any throw. Like there's every throw is in the bag for him because of that size and strength. Another guy, he hangs really tough in the pocket. He has no fear of getting clobbered because he wants to push the ball because of that natural ability. The plus velocity that he has allows him to drive throws into zone coverage. Like there are plenty of examples with Eli Holstein where you go, that's a NFL throw. That is in an NFL offense where the speed and the instincts of the defense normally would clamp down on it from a college perspective, but you actually have the NFL caliber version of it. Here's the thing, though, with him, like why he's really far away right now, and this is a projection. Like the release is a little elongated. There are a lot of risky throws. I mean, 17 turnover-worthy plays in 10 games, and they're throws. Like they're risky throws where he either didn't see the lurking defender or he put a little bit too much air on it because he's a fastball hurler. And fastball hurlers, when they have to throw with touch, there's that hesitation period of time for young guys. Like this is a really young player where they put a little too much air under it because they're so used to winding back, and that's the long release, and throwing fastballs. Where he had to put air under it, and he hung the ball a little bit too much and allowed a defender to make a play. The red zone right now is ugly. I mean, when things got congested, he threw 4 picks in the red zone last year. When things got tight, it goes back to not seeing those lurking defenders once again. And you have a longer release and it's tighter space. Defenders are going to be able to kind of, once again, clamp down. And it goes back to the injuries again. So I'm excited to watch Holstein this year. He also ran for over 400 yards in just 10 games. This is a big-bodied runner, big arm. This is what the NFL likes. And I hope he can continue to develop at Pitt.
So I like guys that, again, you have the ability to bet on with physical tools. And I think that some of these players that I have a little bit higher in my ranking, you will definitely see that from them. So, all right, I'll list off my 15 to 11. I'll touch on a couple of the guys. I'm wondering if they might have just missed your list or if you haven't watched them yet. 15, I have Diego Pavia. Why? Because he's awesome. Like, that's why. Like,
he's not one of the 18 I watched, but
I understand. He is most likely not going to play in the NFL, but it's so hard for me to look at him and not just think, maybe somewhere, man. I mean, like, he gives you everything that he has on every single play. And I'm like, dude, could this guy be now, I don't think he is as physically gifted as a Taysom Hill, but like, can he be like a short yardage dude for you? Can he play, like, can you beef him up and will he play fullback for you? Will he block and pass protect as a fullback? I don't know, but he is somebody who I think I have in my the beginning of my blurb. I think the first sentence here. Let me look it up. First sentence is, Pavia is the kind of player who you wish could just play college football forever. Because I hate judging him from an NFL lens. Because I don't know how much of I think that he could genuinely be like an XFL like legend. Like the greatest player in XFL
Trevor
history. Is that going to lead to some sort of NFL success? I don't know. But he at least has a lot of success in RPO and option offenses. He's great after contact. He likes to set the tone. He's clearly a leader. People rally around him. He's just a damn good like football player that I think the locker room's always going to gravitate towards. But the fact of the matter is, anything after a first read, probably not going to be there for him. He's more of a one read and then take off type of a quarterback because that's the offense that he's in. Normally it's to Eli Stowers, their stud tight end, who's going to be an NFL player himself.
Daniel Jones still getting paid a lot of money to do that.
And that's kind of the thing is like the NFL has gravitated so much towards like rushing threats out of the backfield that I kind of wonder if Tebow would have just leaned into the fact that he was a battering ram of a quarterback, does he actually have an NFL career? And I think Tebow had a little too much college success and pride to do that when he was coming through. I don't think that Pavia really has that. I think that he is somebody who, again, like, I just wonder what sort of backfield versatility he might be able to have as a utility player. Ultimately, I think he probably goes undrafted, but he's just such a fun college football player. And he loves the physical parts of the game so much that it's like, you know what? There are quarterbacks below him that I watched that I go, I don't know if they will be able to bring you enough in even one area to really stick around in the league. At least Pavia will lower the damn shoulder. You know, like, at least, like, on short yards, you could even move this dude to running back. I don't know. Again, you could have him as just, like, the thickest fullback, because I think he's, like, 5'10", which is 0th percentile for the quarterback position. He's, like, 210. He, like, weighs 210 pounds. Just throw 30 extra pounds on him. Just have him be like this bowling ball, short yardage fullback. Does it exist for every team? Does the role exist for every team? No. Would it be extremely niche? Yes. But again, at least I could carve out a role for him, and you could even dust off the fullback pass play out of the old playbook if Diego Pavia is your fullback. So I don't know, man. I feel like he might be able to find some sort of spot in the NFL. If you just lean into that physicality more. So I had him at 15. I don't know.
I love the add 30 pounds. It like reminds me of like a thread that Diego Pavia starts where it's like, I ate meatballs for 45 days straight. Here's what happened.
Essentially, yes.
And it's just number one, I gained 30 pounds. And there's no number two. And now I'm playing fullback in the NFL.
And then he just plays fullback. So anyways, I have him at 15. Ty Simpson, who is at Alabama, former 5-star quarterback, I think is going to get the starting job now at Alabama with Jalen Milroe gone. And we really have not seen a lot of him, but he has played sparingly, and you do see some of that, decent mobility to him. Pretty good arm that garners you that 5-star label. I don't have a lot to judge him by, but even the little snaps that I saw, I was like, okay, we might have something here. So I've got him at number 14. I said that Connor Wegman was number 12. He's actually number 13. Wegman, who was my QB1 last year, and somebody who I really kind of went out on a limb on and just said, hey, I know he hasn't played a lot, but from what we saw, I really like the games that he played in that 2023 season. He only played 5 games and had an injury, but man, he had almost 2 elite passing grades, I think, within those 5 games that he played. Ultimately, I don't know if whether it was pressure or what, but he just did not look like the same player in 2024. He was skittish. He was bad under pressure. The footwork was terrible. He had sort of an unorthodox style, anyways, that we saw in 2023. But at least he kind of made that consistent. He was so inconsistent last year. Played horrible against Notre Dame to start the season. He ended up getting back in the starting lineup, but then he got benched. Now he transferred. Now he's at Houston. I still, there are NFL moments that are in his tape. It's still there from him, but he played so poorly under pressure. It's really hard to keep faith in a player who regressed that much under pressure, because playing under pressure is such a big part of the NFL game.
Right.
And if he goes to Houston, he looks night and day. Obviously, he's somebody who I think he's got the physical gifts. He's got the baseball background. He could throw the ball with really good zip from all different sorts of platforms with all different sorts of arm angles. And again, I think we saw that in 2023, but it just was a massive regression in 2024. And so I ended up having him at number 13. Aidan Chiles from Michigan State. Did you watch him?
I did. He, I think, was 16 for me. He was.
Okay.
He was 16, right behind Miller Moss.
So I have him at number 12. I'm intrigued by Chiles, who,
yes,
you talked about it, has that dual threat ability. But, I was talking to Dalton Washington and Max Chadwick about a lot of these quarterbacks, and I think they put it correctly. There's a lot of in-theory players in this quarterback class.
Oh, my goodness. It's the whole damn thing almost.
Could be something in theory. And I know you could say, well, okay, that's every year because you're making projections on these players. And it's true, but Chiles is one of those guys who is you get a handful of those throws and you go, okay, great touch, great feel to the sideline throws, can zip it over the middle, isn't afraid to make some of those big throws. But then you see, all right, below 60% completion percentage, way more turnover-worthy plays than you want. Does he really have the arm to be able to push the field the way that you want to? But he's got some plus rushing ability to him too. I remember reading an interview of him when I was getting his background information, and he told his mom this offseason that he sucked. He said he was like, I sucked last year. And his mom was like, okay, all right, we don't have to be that harsh on ourselves. And he's like, no, I sucked last season. I was not where I wanted to be. That was not the way that I wanted to play. But he's a former 4-star guy, also played basketball in high school, played at Oregon State first. Now he's over at Michigan State. He reminds me a lot of Josh Dobbs right now, and how Dobbs plays. And I just wonder, is his arm, is there more there with his arm strength and how he could be as a passer than Dobbs? Because Dobbs had a cup of coffee in the league, right? Dobbs had a little stretch where he was starting, and he actually looked pretty good. And I feel like Chiles is sort of that mold of a player there, but it needs to get a lot better from him. I think specifically, the big thing I want from Chiles is just calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
There are moments where he sees the field beautifully. There's a couple of plays in a couple of games that I watch where I physically watch him see it pre-snap. And then he hikes the football, whether it's play action or whatever, and then exactly what he thinks is going to happen to the defense happens. And you can almost see it in his body. He gets really tense. You can't physically see his eyes, obviously, on the All-22, but it's like his eyes get really wide, and he's like, there it is. That's what I thought was going to happen. Here it goes, baby. And, his body just gets so tense that he just doesn't hit the throw. And I think those are the moments that he talks about where he tells his mom, he sucked, because I think he knows there are a bunch of those throws in his tape from last year that he goes, dude, he's open. Just hit him. Just
right.
hit him. And he just doesn't for whatever reason. So I think another year could be really good, and he could be somebody who could take a leap next year. So I had him there. Let me see who was. And then 11 for me was Jalon Daniels from Kansas, who,
Okay. I remember you liked him a
man,
little last year.
I liked him a little bit last year, and I just can't quit Jalon Daniels. And the reason why I can't quit him is because he gives you a little bit of that RPO option offense, rushing ability to him, but he'll still stand tall in the pocket. And when I say stand tall, I mean like he's 6 feet tall, so he does have an issue seeing over the offensive line. But he'll stand confidently in the pocket, I should say. I think he's got a good arm. I don't know if it's I would say he's got an adequate arm for the NFL. I wonder how much better than adequate it is for the NFL level. There are some throws that I think that he's really got it, but he's dealt with back injuries before, and I think that goes into arm strength a little bit. So we'll see how healthy he could be this upcoming season. But Connor, what keeps me from really giving up on Jaden Daniels or always just Jalon Daniels, I should say, and always keep going back to him is he makes some baller plays under pressure. When pressure is coming his way, and especially when he has to scramble outside of the pocket, I mean, he makes excellent plays outside of the pocket. Now, you don't want a quarterback that makes a living doing that because you would like for them to stay within the pocket, right? That's a very important part of playing the game at the NFL level. But his out-of-structure stuff is graded very highly, and it's just got some fantastic plays on tape from him. So I can't really quit him. So that's why I got him just outside of the top 10. I got him number 11, but I'm very excited to continue to see Jalon Daniels, and I hope his back is fully healthy this year because I think it could be a really nice season from him.
That's always the biggest thing with him is health. It was the conversation last summer as well. I mean, you could see some of the special plays with him, but he just has to be healthy across the full course of a season and, be careful with the football. With Chiles, who I did get to watch and had at 16, I just really enjoyed watching that offense go under center and having him turn his back to the defensive play action and utilizing his athleticism from under center off of play action. I thought you nailed it, though. When he got pressured, you saw the eyes drop. And when the eyes drop, the mechanics just washed away.
Yeah,
that's when he misses throws.
There was a little too much of that, right.
Right, but there's a lot of exciting ability with him. And this is, once again, a young player that has adequate size, mobility, and arm strength that you hope can take the next step in this offense since, he got to be a full-time starter last year.
Okay. Well, actually, what are we, 40 minutes into the show? All right, let me talk to the good people, especially the parents out there, about our friends over at Fabric by Gerber Life. But before we get to there, after we get to that, we'll get into the top 10s here in a second. What's your child's future success look like for you, right? I'm speaking to all the parents out there. Maybe it's, your kids owning their own business. Maybe it's them traveling the world. Maybe it's them just owning their own house. Whatever that looks like, you can help them achieve that right now with a kids investment account for Fabric by Gerber Life. Fabric by Gerber Life, it was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With the kids investment account from Fabric, you guys can start investing in your child's future today. Whole thing is online. Very easy to set up. Could take you as little as just 5 minutes. Starts you at $20. No contribution limits to it. Tax advantages. Funds are SIPC insured up to $500,000. There's no commission fees to it. Just a low, flat monthly maintenance fee. Funds can be used for anything. It's not just when they're older, right? If they're kids and you still want to use that fund, you can use it on tuition, tutors, music classes, sports, whatever that is. But if you want to save up some of it and let it continue to grow, maybe it is them buying their first house, buying their first car, starting their business, whatever that looks like. Join the thousands of parents right now who trust Fabric to help protect their family and start investing in your child's future today at meetfabric.com/stock exchange. That is meetfabric.com/stock exchange, MEET fabric.com/stock exchange. The portfolios are managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Additional services provided by Apex Clearing Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. You can learn more at meetfabric.com. You had Carson Beck at number 11, correct?
Correct.
I have him at number 10. You want to just have the Carson Beck conversation here?
Yeah, it's probably time to have the Carson Beck conversation.
So, Beck was your QB1 last year.
Yeah.
I think he was my QB2, if I remember correctly. Actually, we should go back and watch Summer Scout of the year before, so I remember this.
I do remember us, to give us a little bit grace, we were pretty adamant that there just wasn't a first-round grade in that class last summer.
Yeah.
It was like one of those where I was like, yeah, here we are, but, Beck, Shador, and the guy I ended up being too low on, who I thought I liked a lot last summer. I had Cam Ward like 5th or 6th, and I was like, Cam Ward's out of control, but man, it's awesome. And then it goes to show you how quick things could change.
Well, again, it's sort of different. Like we said, like judging players.
It is very
in the summer
different. You're right.
With a full year. So Carson Beck, I think a lot of you know who he is, but former 4-star quarterback. He played quarterback, but he also played baseball in high school. He was a pitcher. He was a first baseman, so a multi-sport kind of a dude. He was actually offered a baseball scholarship by South Carolina. He was in 9th grade. Ended up committing, I think, to Florida actually before flipping over because he ended up winning Mr. Football in the state of Florida. Ended up choosing Georgia. He was Stetson Bennett's backup for 2 years. Won the starting job in 2023. Played again in 2024. And to be honest with you, Connor, there are a lot of things that Carson Beck does well, right? Like, here's some of the strengths of his game. Good size overall for the NFL. He's like 6'4", 220 pounds. Clean, smooth fundamentals in his throwing motion. Pretty confident on the intermediate passes, especially when layering it between zones over the middle. He can do that, the quote-unquote NFL stuff, if you will, hitting the backside digs, hitting the hole shots on the sideline, all that good stuff. He is a pretty confident touch passer when you see some touch passes from him, and he knows how to move defenders with his eyes. There's a lot of things about playing the quarterback position that he does really well. The tough part is, I think his arm is average, maybe above average for the NFL, but I think it's right around there. I don't think he has, like, get-out-of-trouble arm strength. And he just is really bad under pressure.
Dude, he's unplayable under pressure. That's the problem.
His passing grades under pressure last year were terrible. And, again, how high are you drafting a quarterback who just plays well for you when it's clean? It's got to look so much better when he is under pressure in 2025 at Miami. Or I think he's probably just going to be like in my opinion, I feel like he's a mid-round pick right now. 3rd, 4th, something around there with Carson Beck, where we sort of talked about him in the second. What'd you say? Like
Jacob Eason was?
Yeah, I think he's better than Eason. Like, my early comp for him would honestly be Pickett, like Kenny Pickett. Like, right. I think that Pickett can, like, get it done for you. Like, if you put him behind a good offensive line and he's reading the field, he can do a lot of the quarterbacky stuff that you want him to. He can read defenses. He can see things post-snap. All that is fine.
I'm enjoying watching you talk yourself into this.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think he has a get-you-out-of-trouble arm. And Pickett was way overdrafted in the first round, obviously, and we've sort of seen how his career has gone. He has been given a chance. Pickett has been given a chance to start with the Steelers, and I just don't think he was dynamic enough of a player, either in clean playmaking or pressure playmaking opportunities. And I kind of think that is my assessment of Carson Beck right now. He is fine, but how high are you drafting fine? Not super high, in my opinion.
How many quarterbacks do NFL teams feel great about right now that we call fine? It's not like it's an age, it's an old problem of that. But Beck, I cross-checked my notes from summer scouting last year to our quarterback show, which was December, I want to say, and then to now. And the problem is, Trevor, when I had him QB1 last summer, I wrote down there's not a lot of moments of adversity on this tape. There's not. Yeah. And the times he was in chaotic situations, I believe Alabama was one of the notable ones, he wasn't creative enough to do anything to get out of it. So let's see how he adjusted that the following year and if he can live up to expectations. And forget meeting or falling slightly below expectations. He was terrible in 2024 in those situations. You talk about the problems with being under pressure. Forget that he completed less than 40% of his passes and averaged 5.6 yards per attempt. He had a turnover-worthy play on 9.4% of the plays. That basically means 1 out of every 10 dropbacks, you're turning the ball over or should be turning the ball over.
Under pressure.
That's unplayable under pressure.
You get blitzed to infinity in the NFL.
Right. Big games last year, and they had a lot of them. This is the adversity thing. At Texas, versus Florida, at Mississippi. Stunk in all 3 of them. Like, this is the problem where when his feet and his accuracy are just a mess when he's under pressure, the release isn't slow. I said this last year, but like when he falls into an upper body thrower, it's funky. And I don't know if that's the baseball aspect or just how talented of a athlete he is overall. It's just, and I thought even his checkdowns just don't always have a changeup. And, that's going to be a big thing for him to develop to get better under pressure is throwing your outlets and your checkdowns. But you got to throw them with a little off speed or a little touch. So not to just absolutely kill Beck on this podcast, because once upon a time there was a lot of hope and he can reclaim that and regain that. He gets a fresh start at Miami and rooting for him to do well and hope he can. But it's just the tape is the tape from 2024, and he is not in my top 10 quarterbacks going into this year.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately, like the negative part of this it has to dominate the Carson Beck conversation, because we had him in our top threes, if not QB1 going into last year. And it's like, okay, well, now he's 10 and 11. So what's the deal? And it's like, okay, well, a lot of those strengths were kind of still there, but you mentioned it was a little bit of a product of not the best quarterback class or not the highest outlook that we had going into last year. And then also, like, he just really hadn't been tested too much. And last year he gets tested, and I think that he just didn't play well in those opportunities. Now, like you said, he's got another opportunity here now at Miami this season. So he's another guy where it's just got to look better. It's got to look better under pressure for him, like it does with a couple of these other quarterbacks as well. Like, right? Connor Wegman's the same way. Like, Connor Wegman's kind of, it's almost like the same story. So them being sort of in this area on my rankings it's kind of this, yeah, you have the ability to play at the NFL level, but not when things have been muddied at this point. And that's a big part of it. So, all right, let's go 10-6 for you. And then we'll kind of like pick and choose with those guys and then dig into the top 5.
All right, 10 for me. A bit of a surprise player here. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor. Oh, man. I mean, it makes you feel better. This is going to happen.
How did this happen?
It's going to happen.
I thought there's
both
no
ways.
way. There's no way you watched somebody that I didn't. You've watched 3 players. I swear to you, if you have a player in your top 5 that I didn't watch, I'm going to be mad.
No, there's no way, because I think we verbally went over those. No, this should. There might be one more in the top 10, but I think this is going to be close to wrapping it up. I watched some weird players, and I'm glad I did for Sawyer Robertson from Baylor. I'll talk about him in a little bit, obviously.
Okay.
But Sawyer Robertson sneaks into the top 10.
Okay.
Number 9, this one would be my last guess of somebody you might not have watched, because he is another player that surprised me. Luke Altmyer from Illinois.
Oh, no, I watched Luke Altmyer, but he's like 17 for me.
Oh, I liked him a lot. I had him at 9.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Altmyer. 8, I admittedly am not as online as I usually am this time of year, but this is a name that I have seen generate buzz in the draft community. I don't know how high people are on him, so I'm either low or right where everyone else is. I have Fernando Mendoza at 8, who transferred from Cal to Indiana.
Okay.
So I know you watched him.
I'm keeping my poker face because I'm trying to make you sweat about where I have him in my rankings.
Yeah, no, I'm scared. I'm terrified. All right, so Mendoza was 8. 7 for me was the talk of town, it felt like, this spring. Nico Iamaleava.
There it is. Nice. Well done.
Man, that's what I was really sweating. I practiced that.
I only don't have to sweat that name because my wife works for SEC Network and has said it a million times, and I've heard her say it a million times.
Right. So, yeah. I'm glad we stuck. We landed that plane on the first try here.
Well done.
Who is now at UCLA after a very controversial or highly covered transfer from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Number 6 for me is LaNorris Sellers from South Carolina, who is also a very buzzy name, loaded up with talent. But we'll have the LaNorris Sellers conversation, of course, as well.
Who is?
Which I'm sure some people are sitting there and going, there's something weird in my top 5.
Who is 5 for you?
Because I have some big names in the 10-6. Big names.
Yeah, what? There is a player. I think there might be a player or 2. There's at least one that I think you will have in your top 5 that I maybe didn't watch.
I don't think so. I think I just like the player more than you.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Anyway, Want me to rip through Sawyer Robertson, or you should do your 10-6.
All right. 10 for me. 10 for me is Carson Beck. We talked about that.
Yep.
9 for me is Fernando Mendoza. So I have him at 9. So you have him at 8.
Good poker face.
Yeah.
Damn. So the streets are now saying I am the high man on Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
How did this happen?
Number 8, I have from Washington State originally, now at Oklahoma. I have John Mateer. Did you watch him?
I watched John Mateer.
Okay. All right. This makes me happy because he's in your top 5.
Yeah, he rules.
7. You know what?
So
I can't wait to talk about him. Number 7, I have LaNorris Sellers, and then number 6, I have Nico Iamaleava.
Holy smokes! So this is the no man's land tier, like bracket. You would think 10-6 is where things are going to get a little weird, and you and I are almost identical.
Yeah, no, we know ball.
Clearly.
Yeah,
we
know
have
ball.
done the work. We have actually watched the tape and looked at the stats.
We know ball. Okay, here's my first question. Is Mateer 5 for you?
Yeah, he's 5.
Okay,
and,
let's talk about it.
I almost made him higher. He was
I
almost 3.
I want to tell you how much I really wanted to have him higher than 8. I really wanted to have this guy higher than number 8. But I couldn't put him over just incredibly physically gifted players like LaNorris Sellers and Nico Iamaleava. But you have him at number 5. I would actually, you know what? I'll give a little background information to John Mateer, and then I would love for you to, start off kind of what we're talking about here. So John Mateer, he was the quarterback. Why do I have Alabama on here? He didn't play at Alabama. Did I write down the wrong guy? No. Okay, yeah, he's here. He plays at Oklahoma now, but he played at Washington State prior to his time at Oklahoma. He is just 6'1", 220 pounds. So he is 14th percentile when it comes to height for the quarterback position. 220 pounds to be 45th percentile for the quarterback position. He's a 3-star recruit from Texas, actually. Little Elm High School is where he played his high school ball. Committed to Washington State, redshirted his first year, was a backup in all 12 games in 2023. So he redshirted and then he was a backup. He has 1 year as a full-time starter, and it was last year. It was 2024. And then he transferred to Oklahoma in 2025. So just kind of wanted to set the stage for him there. You have him at number 5. I have him at number 8. Talk to me about why you love John Mateer.
I mean, this dude it's pretty wild tape to watch. Just getting down to the numbers, he threw for over 3,100 yards last year and ran for over 1,000. All right, so that's the kind of impact he has on the field. Threw for 29 touchdowns, ran for 15, ran for 66 first downs, forced 54 missed tackles forced. It's like running back numbers. Averaged 9 yards per attempt, only threw 7 picks. He did have 15 turnover-worthy plays, but he had 19 big-time throws in PFF system. Team captain. Did you mention his dad swam for Missouri?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think just one season, but his dad was actually a swimmer at Missouri. So
okay, nice.
So those swimmers are, some of the best athletes in the world.
This is very true.
All right, so to me, the production as a runner and a passer is just the way it impacts games is phenomenal. He really can make something out of nothing. And when he rolls out and escapes and makes that magic happen, he makes people miss. He's elusive. He's fast. He turns, little scrambles into chunk gains. The arm angles are not a lot of guys can do this. He can almost whip the ball like a pitcher. It's like a sidearm pitcher, not a submarine, but it's freaky. There's a couple times
such a
where
snappy release, man.
Yeah, it's almost the way he could throw the ball when he needs to, because he doesn't throw like this all the time, obviously, is how really good wiffle ball pitchers pitch. They kind of wind up and snap it down. They lock their elbow down and kind of flick the wrist. It's like they get all this velocity out of the wrist. He can do that with a football, and it's very unorthodox to watch, but it's a weird weapon in his bag to defeat like weird passing lanes, because guys get their arms up or there's a linebacker there and he kind of tries to slither the ball through them. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And he is such a twitchy escape artist that, you know, when he goes from that escape artist, it's like, okay, I can escape and look down the field, or I could just take off and run, and I'm fast and elusive. I think a lot of it right now, Trevor, coming out of Washington State, was a lot of one read and run. So we're going to see how that develops at Oklahoma. I mean, truly, it's like first read not there. Okay, I'm probably faster than everyone else. Let's just run. And there's going to be some growth with a step up in the level of competition this year, obviously, at Oklahoma. He is going back to the wiffle ball pitcher. He is so gifted as a thrower that there's inexplicable misses on tape because he just ignores his lower half. He's just so gifted as a thrower. He's like, well, I do this in my sleep all the time. Oh, I just missed a layup. Mm-hmm. So they got to work on that with him. Just more mechanical standards on a snap-by-snap basis. When he gets moved off his spot, he loses his changeup. Like, he just starts whipping the ball around. You got to keep that off-speed pitch in your arsenal for when you get moved off the spot and need to check it down. So you don't just... There's a couple times where he just flicked it at a guy's face mask like 100 miles an hour. It was right in front of him, and it's like, dude, just give me a chance. So Mateer is exciting to watch. Team captain, team leader, insanely productive. Put the weight of the team on my shoulders. I'll lift us to wins. It's just mechanical consistency is where he needs to improve, and taking on more from a mental processing standpoint is where he needs to grow. But if he does either of those things, man, he is going to be in the thick of this quarterback conversation.
I agree wholeheartedly on a lot of that stuff, man. I really enjoyed watching his film. There are a couple of points that I want to sort of like expound upon that you said. Like the way that he releases the football is so very unique. It's like this. Now you have to pair that with the fact that he's only 6'1", and so
right.
With him having more of a sidearm throwing style than an over the top throwing style, it negatively impacts the ball path for you, the flight path, because you're already starting at the fact that you are lower than the offensive line in front of you. So when you are almost like whipping it on a rope, because intermediate and short throws, like he can just whip it on a rope straight to you. Like he's got really good arm strength in that regard. When I see him push it down the field, that's really where a lot of the accuracy issues come from, because then he has to sort of like change the trajectory in which the ball's coming out of his hand, and he's not as comfortable doing that. And I'm glad that you mentioned the touch stuff, because if he threw with better touch, I think I would have just said, screw it. I'm putting him in the top 5. But the problem is that you're right. A lot of the times he just throws fastball right now. And you have to be a multi-dimensional, like almost pitcher with how you play the game. Like you have to have air under your passes. You have to be able to throw touch passes in the NFL. It is a requirement. And he just seems to struggle when he takes miles per hour or RPMs off the ball. And I think that's an issue from him. The lower body stuff is so funny to me, because sometimes I will watch smaller quarterbacks, and when they're trying to like get good zip on the ball, they will like kick their leg out like a pitcher does, right? Like you're kind of like getting your whole body involved, and you're getting the follow through, and you're like kicking the body. He almost like, well, it's not almost, he does. There are times when he like pirouettes. Like he fully like spins around like it's a ballerina. Like he's throwing the football, and it's almost like he's doing like a celebration where, you know, like it's like a walk-off, like home, like a touchdown throw.
Yeah.
Where you you throw it and then you just put your hand in it. Like that's like what he's doing. I feel like on sometimes like a throw-by-throw basis, and so it's just so unique to watch him play, but there's so much moxie, there's so much confidence. There are true shades of Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray in his game. There really are. Like, from the style and how he gets rid of the football to what he is as a runner. Now, the issue that I have with him is that, like, again, I think his arm is adequate for the NFL level, especially when it comes to the intermediate and short stuff. Does he really have the arm to have this throwing style to push the ball deep the way that he needs to? Because Baker and Kyler had arm talent to be able to do that, even at their shorter stature and even with a little bit of unorthodox throwing motion and how they got the ball out of their hands. Does Mateer? And I think that's the big question for him. Now going to the SEC, can we see that a little bit more from him? 70.7 passing grade this past season. You mentioned it's because of a lot of big-time throws to go along with a lot of turnover-worthy plays. The accuracy wasn't as high as you wanted it to be from him, but there's so many, like, hell yeah, like, give me this dude, like, types of throws that he has, whether it's as a runner or a passer. I just, given how different his throwing motion and throwing style is, I want a little bit more time. And I'm glad that we have another year to evaluate him in what his total arm talent is going to be. So let's see it this year, but I love that you had him at 5. I love that you're there with him, but I wanted to get him in my top 10, but I couldn't quite have him there, and I got him at number 8.
All right, so I'll go through Robertson and Altmyer a little quickly back to back.
Okay.
Robertson is at Baylor. He originally transferred there. Let me just pull up my notes from him, from Mississippi State. But he was their starter last year. He's a redshirt senior, 6'4", 220. Another guy with a good build. He was at Mississippi State from 2021 to 2022. He redshirted in 2021. Last year in 12 games, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 14 big-time throws, 15 turnover-worthy plays. He had over 300 yards rushing. He only fumbled one time. Good ball security. His cousin is actually Jarrett Stidham, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice.
And his dad was a first-round pick in the 1990 MLB draft of the Montreal Expos. So a lot of athleticism in this family. He was the Gatorade Texas Player of the Year as a senior, former 4-star recruit. Obviously, that was a bit of time ago now, though. This is a redshirt senior. Dense frame, strong arm. You see a lot of tight window throws in the middle of the field. Another guy can kind of change arm angles. It delivers with velocity on the move. Really watching him, I saw some similarities to Tyler Shuck, is what I saw. I was like, oh, this guy plays kind of like how Louisville Tyler Shuck played. He misses some sitting linebackers and roaming safeties in coverage. He doesn't see the field, to his fullest capacity right now. It's why you see the 15 turnover-worthy plays. He does have a little bit of a habit. When he starts drifting backwards or fading, he cannot throw the ball. Like, you should not do that as a quarterback. And he gets a little gunslingery. Risky with that. So that's a habit that they'll work on with him. But Sawyer Robertson, I was impressed physically what he's able to do in that Baylor offense that really spread things out. Luke Altmyer from Illinois was a big surprise to me. And, he transferred from Ole Miss. He started for Illinois last year. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. Last year, he had over 2,700 passing yards in 13 games. So not a crazy pass-happy offense. 22 touchdowns, 6 picks. 20 big-time throws. So for an offense that's not just chucking it around, that's what stood out to me with Altmyer. I mean, some of the deep throws on tape with him, there is elite ball placement outside the numbers. You'd watch him throw to Pat Bryant, and you'd just be like, this guy is just throwing darts out there. He's just dropping it in the bucket, and you couldn't put the ball in the receiver's lap by handing it to them with better placement. It's incredibly impressive, and I like his release. It's compact. It's naturally snappy. So the big thing with Altmyer that he's got to cut down this year, besides the fact he fumbled 5 times last year, he took 30 sacks last year. That's 18th percentile. He takes a lot of sacks. You got to get rid of the ball. I know sometimes the help in front of him wasn't always great. He only lost one of those 5 fumbles, but 5 fumbles is a lot. And But man, the arm talent to push the ball vertically really, really stood out to me. So Robertson and Altmyer, I have at 10 and 9, and a lot of it is just because of the pure arm talent both possess.
Man, I think the big difference between where I have Altmyer at 17 and you have him at 9 is I think you believe in the arm talent more than I do. I think when I watched him, I saw more of a limited arm from him when it came to projecting him to the NFL level because his his measurables don't do him any favors. I think he's around like 6'2", 203. So he's on the smaller side. And I agree with you. I think that he had some really good accuracy. I think he's got big hands because I think he's got really good control over the ball. Like when you said, like when he's putting touch under
snappy release.
There are some great plays. So I think he's got big hands and good control of the football, which I don't know, maybe he doesn't with the fumbles, but anyways,
I know it's weird, right?
It is kind of weird in that regard. I did not see as much from him when it came to the arm talent category. So that's the big discrepancy of I was lower on the arm talent than you are for where you have him at 9 and I have him at 17. Fernando Mendoza, you have him at 8. I have him at 9. So he is redshirt junior, played at Cal. Now he's playing in Indiana, so he transferred over to Indiana. Somebody who you talk about looks the part, 6'4.5", 225 pounds. It's 84th percentile, 65th percentile. So the dude looks like an NFL quarterback. He was a former 3-star, actually from Miami, Florida. He's been involved in a lot of really, really cool stuff. One thing that I noticed with him is like whether it was through NIL or just community service stuff, like he's the grandson of Cuban immigrants. I saw that. And so like he's organized like Cuban relief services and trips to like help with things like that and give back to the native community in Cuba. He did like a turkey drive when he was in high school that he orchestrated. So like he's been involved in the community and he's like somebody who's obviously doing a lot of really great stuff, which is really, really cool. He's actually committed to Yale before he decided to flip and go over to Cal. He's also a member of the tennis program, too. I got to shout that out. Multi-sport athlete. We don't often talk about tennis for quarterbacks, but...
Josh Rosen.
Was Josh Rosen?
Josh Rosen was a great tennis player.
Well, Mendoza had a good career. I guess we can...
and now it's over.
Then. Yeah, now it's over. That's tough.
Won't fool me this time.
So obviously, like you said, he looks the part of the quarterback. I think he's got an adequate NFL frame. Good velocity on his passes. I think you can see that from having a pretty big arm. I think he's got some natural touch and accuracy for those sideline throws. He knows how to be patient with some of his progressions, but a big issue that I see is that I don't know if he's going to fix this. If he does, I think I'd be more of a fan of him. He like stops his release like a stinger shot in golf. You ever notice that? Like
interesting.
You know how like all right.
I wrote that the release changes.
You've got like the full follow through. Where you're following it through, and this is an easy way to think about it. Like when you're following through, you're going across the body, and you're trying to put your thumb in your opposite pocket. Right? You're just trying to get across the body, and that's sort of how you're supposed to sort of like end and follow through the throw. Mendoza like shot puts it. Like there are plays where he's just like, and he just like stops here, and then he like throws his arm back. It's when he's pressured. I mean, it's way worse when he's pressured. There's no question about it.
It's a big problem when he's pressured.
I'm like, I don't understand. So I think that the throwing motion needs some work for him to be more consistent because he had more turnover-worthy plays last year than he had big-time throws. He had 12 big-time throws and 17 turnover-worthy plays. Now, the completion percentage was fine. It was around, I think, 72, where was he? 73.7% adjusted completion percentage. But, I mean, the turnover-worthy play to big-time throw ratio, I mean, it's got to be flipped at least flipped. And I did not love the follow-through from him. I think he's got a big arm, but I don't know if it's like a rocket arm when it comes to velocity. And so he's another dude who is like, I'm interested to see, does he change the throwing motion at all? Does he get a little bit more to his fundamentals when he's under pressure? Because I think he was super jittery when it came to just like under pressure. Like his footwork goes crazy. He's just like trying to get rid of the ball immediately, and it ends up going very, very poorly for him. And then I also think a handful of those turnover-worthy plays, man, I mean, he is just not seeing zone defenders, and he's got to see these zone defenders a lot better than what he saw in 2024. So somebody who I do think that has some NFL talent to him, but a guy who I think you got to fix the throwing motion. You've got to be much more cool and confident under pressure, and then we got to flip around that big time throw and turnover worthy play rate from him.
We saw him exactly the same. I mean, especially the strengths. Talk about the velocity. The deep ball was from a clean pocket. It's pretty strong and accurate. The release, how he tries to speed it up at times, but he could drive the ball outside the numbers. I have some big concerns, though. There's not much twitch. There's not much foot speed. He can't escape from a whole lot.
He was very Jared Goff to me.
Yeah, and he was sacked 40 times last year.
And obviously, Goff has been great with Detroit, with Ben Johnson behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and phenomenal receivers and an elite play caller and an elite run game. But again, even throughout his Detroit tenure, if you have ever asked Jared Goff to perform under pressure, he's not great at it, or especially get out of the pocket and do it. And I saw a lot of those shades with Fernando Mendoza.
And the thing is, where Goff is really strong right now that Mendoza's not, you brought this up, Mendoza, there's just gift wrap throws to defenders that he doesn't see. Or he tries to throw it through them. And he's got to limit those because he's not creative enough to have a team deal with those. I mean, yards per attempt when pressured went below 6 yards. I don't think the off-platform throws look natural. They lose life. The 40 sacks taken he's not going to escape from much. And if you're not going to escape from much, you got to just play at such an alarming speed. And I didn't see that. So I like the arm. I like the body type. I think he has a pretty long ways to go from a processing standpoint that the lack of athleticism cannot make up for that a lot of other guys have.
All right, really quick, talk to me about LaNorris Sellers and Nico Iamaleava, where you have them on your rankings, because I have them right outside the top 5, and then we'll dig into the top 5.
Yeah, so Nico I had at 7, Sellers I have at 6. With Nico, 6'5", 215. This is a very athletic family. He's got 7 siblings. 2 are high-level volleyball players. He was a high-level volleyball player early in high school.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Which he has that build. Remember, this was Alec Pierce. That was a volleyball player. They have that long, leggy, very springy kind of build. Nico's younger brother.
He has an 81-inch wingspan. That's 96th percentile for the quarterback position.
I mean, he is arms and legs flying around crazy. And you see it. I mean, this is somebody that ran for almost 500 yards. He's a consensus 5-star prospect in his recruiting class. He did have 6 fumbles, which is a big issue. Mm-hmm. But as a thrower, big body, strong arm, zip on throws at every level of the field. It stands out. He can drive throws outside the numbers. He rips the ball on slant routes. When he throws a slant, it's like a shotgun through the chest of the receiver. But it's thrown where it's supposed to be thrown. Fast, accurate, right into them where you can catch and run. And it's a weapon. It was a weapon for them in that offense. He's got these long strides that move the chains. When there's room in front of him and he gets going, it feels like every step covers a 5-yard increment with him. That it helps him so easily pick up first downs. He had 25 first downs on the move last year. There is no loss of arm strength when he's throwing on the move. It's the same throw on the move.
His arm is great.
Freaky.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch him throw on the move, and it's the same damn thing that he had in a clean pocket. Now, where we get a little messy, 20th percentile sack rate and just sloppy under pressure. Completion percentage went down to 37.5. Yards per attempt went under 5. 6 fumbles. He'll airmail throws when his base gets stiff. It's a blessing and a curse.
A lot. He misses high
airmails throws all the time. And you got this big natural arm, but when you got this big natural arm, sometimes you lose your mechanics. And when he doesn't play with his base, he sails these throws, and it happens a lot. This is Tennessee's offense last year. There's a lot of predetermined throws. I thought the longer the play goes on, you see processing woes. And the processing woes lead to him running himself into pressure. It's okay, drop back. okay, I'm off my first read, I'm going to my second read. Let me start to move. And it's like, well, you moved into the side of the front that had 3 guys rushing from it, and now you're sacked when the protection was fine. So he is a wildly gifted human being. I mean, wildly gifted human being. Strong arm, long stride runner, arms and legs for days. It's just everything else is a work in progress. And that's kind of a theme of this show with some of these guys. But in terms of being freaky, like, this guy's up at the top of the list.
When it's picture perfect for him, I mean, how nimble he is and on his toes, extremely impressive. How compact his release is for having as long of an arm and as powerful of an arm as he has, extremely impressive. This is a very gifted, toolsy NFL player, I would say. The thing that really worries me about him, and it's hard to put this in a scouting report, we'll see how it plays out at UCLA, right? Because the reports, he left Tennessee because he wanted to up the NIL money, and Tennessee called his bluff and said, fine, find it somewhere else. And it sounded like he could barely find it and found half of it then at UCLA because Tennessee didn't want him back. And I think they spun it as like, well, okay, well, this will be good for him because, now he'll be in a more pro style offense. Because Tennessee, let's be honest, like, Tennessee's offense is sometimes really hard to project. Like, it's hard to read. Like, the things that they're doing, the stacked alignment, the really wide alignment stuff, a lot of it is, you talk about him not being able to go beyond his first read. I agree with you. A lot of this stuff is, and it's sort of like Lane Kiffin's offense. It's constructed so well that you never get past the first read.
Right.
It's either, hey, you're throwing this first read, or you're running, or you're throwing the ball away. That's it. There's no thinking. There's no thinking involved. And it works really well at the college level until it doesn't. And for Nico, like, yeah, okay, like, his camp can spin like, oh, it's going to be much better because we're in an offense that's going to be much more translatable to the NFL. Okay, sure, I guess. Or maybe you just got greedy with NIL money and now they called your bluff on it, and now you're at a school that you never wanted to go to. So I do not know what the truth is. And I think that's a big issue with a lot of the NIL era where we currently are, is a lot of these things happen, especially behind the scenes, and you just don't know where the truth is. We will find out how good Nico Iamaleava is this year. We will. We will be able to see it. Does he actually get better? Does he read the field better? And I'm not saying that this is necessarily all or nothing from him, but if he is no better of a quarterback this year, then all of a sudden we go, all right, we're kind of in trouble now. Like, I don't know how much better he's going to get, because now you'll have 2 years of which you would want him to be a better processor and be better under pressure and all that kinds of stuff. We'll see at UCLA.
And he'll transfer again. He'll transfer again.
Yeah. And then when it comes to LaNorris Sellers, man, you talk about physically gifted dudes. 6'3", 240 pounds. Guy gives you shades of Cam Newton sometimes when he's a runner. I think his rushing ability is a little bit over-dramatized right now. Like, yeah, he had 47 missed tackles forced last year, but 15 of them came against Clemson. And to be honest with you, he kind of like ran into some of those tackles, and he was literally just so big, the Clemson defenders just couldn't bring him down. So it's not like he really like forced a missed tackle in space or something. He was literally just like, he was too big to be
Looked
tackled
like
at the college level. And it did. And not to throw shade at Clemson, who I think is going to be one of the best teams in the country this upcoming year, but like, he's got a rocket arm. I think he's a great gifted runner as well. Again, another player who's got a ton of tools. Some people project him to be a potential number 1 overall pick, and if you're just going off of like what he could bring to the table physically, I get it. But he is somebody who had way too many turnover-worthy plays, way too many throws where he just did not read zone defenses properly, was not fast enough to the trigger when throws were open, and it was his first year as a full-time starter last year, and so I want to give him that grace. But I also, I'm glad that you have him just outside of your top 5, not just because it's also where I have him, but like, I do think we got to kind of pump the brakes. It's like, yes,
agree.
he's sick. Like, yes, he's 6'3", 240. He has to take a leap as a quarterback this upcoming season to be considered a number 1 overall pick type of a player. And I think people are going to bring up, well, if Anthony Richardson, got picked at Where did Richardson get picked? Like 4, whatever it was.
Fourth.
Like if Anthony Richardson gets picked 4th, LaNorris Sellers can get picked 4th. Okay, well, you just used a bad example as to why you should pick him number 4. Like, he's got to look at, because of how recent Anthony Richardson is, LaNorris Sellers has to look a lot better than Anthony Richardson looked coming out of Florida if he wants to be picked anywhere near that. It's not, I don't like when people bring up, like, well, if Richardson can go 4, then this guy can go 4. Because, like, yeah,
That's
sure,
a
in
bad
theory.
faith argument, yeah.
But in my opinion, I agree with you completely. It's a bad faith argument. So there's a lot of things that I think LaNorris Sellers does really well. I'm very, very excited to watch him play this season. But I do think that he just doesn't have a great read on defenses pre-snap, really struggles with safeties that are in too high alignments at the snap, and then one of them rotates the other way. He's slow to see that. He's slow to recognize it, and sometimes he puts the ball into harm's way when he's going through route combinations, and he doesn't read the safeties correctly. I noticed that a couple of times. It's a lot that he needs to work on, but it's the type of player that you would love to work on because he's got the mold of a guy who could be a first round and a top 10 pick.
Loaded up with tools, like you said, Trevor. This guy is going to be the chalky pick for a lot of draft analysts. He'll be in the first round of mock drafts. He'll be a number 1 quarterback for plenty of people. I have nothing against that. Obviously, we see him the same, but we see him differently probably than those people. I had him 6th. You had him 7th?
I had him 7th. I had him and Nico flipped. They're just flipped.
Oh, okay. That's the same thing for me. Okay. So, yeah, it's just playing the quarterback position, right? He'll pass up open receivers and choose to run instead. Like, that's because he's more comfortable with that right now. The internal clock, he holds the ball a while, and he doesn't really feel pressure. He is so physically imposing and can dip his shoulder that when the pressure gets there, he can still break the tackle and run around. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he has a consistent feel for pressure. And when he gets off of his first read from the pocket, I thought the release became a little elongated.
Agreed.
He'll sail throws. He misses layups. Under pressure, the completion percentage went from 71% down to 50.5. The touchdown interception ratio under pressure was 4-5. The turnover worthy play percentage went up to about 7%. He's just got to remember his checkdowns and outlets are there for a reason to throw to. Like, use those checkdowns and outlets as an extension to you. So this is a toolsed up special talent that is very, very far away from being a round 1 quarterback right now. These are the kinds of guys people want to bet on, and who can blame them?
All right. Probably about 5 minutes apiece here, maybe something like that here for these top 5s, because I know you got to get out of here in a little bit.
We did Mateer.
We did do Mateer, so that saves a little bit of time there. Number 5 for you. Who's number 5? Oh, Mateer is 5, right? Okay. 5 for me is Cade Klubnik.
Okay, he was 3 for me.
Okay, so you've got Cade at number 5, or at number 3. So I have him at number 5. You have him at number 3. Man, there's a lot to like about Cade Klubnik.
Really is.
I think, had the highest passing grade of any of these quarterbacks going into this upcoming season. He had an 87.1 passing grade. He's a little bit of a background. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. At least that's what Clemson has him listed at. I wonder if he's 6'2". That's 32nd percentile and 7th percentile for the position, so a much smaller player. He is a former 5-star quarterback from Austin, Texas. Played at Westlake High School, which is a powerhouse high school. Actually won 3 consecutive state titles, 2019, 2020, and 2021, including the final 2 years as a starter. So he was the starter for those last 2 years there. He became the first quarterback in Texas high school history to go undefeated while winning a state championship, back-to-back state championships since Kyler Murray. He actually won the 2020 state championship against Quinn Ewers. Fun fact. Obviously, he was named like Gatorade Football Player of the Year in Texas, All-American high school player, all that good stuff. So he basically had every accolade that you could possibly want from a high school quarterback as a 5-star. Committed to Clemson. Backup in 2022. Full-time starter in 2023. Full-time starter there in 2024. I think it was a little bit of a slow burn for him to really become the quarterback that he needed to become, but I especially thought that in the second half of last season, he really started to come into his own. I think he's got an adequate NFL arm. I don't think it's like special. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of Cade Klubnik's scouting report is going to read very similar to Bryce Young's. That's kind of the way that I feel about it. And I had Bryce Young as my number one overall player, but I've since kind of seen in the NFL, it's like, hey, for as much as I really loved Bryce Young, really loved how he approached the game, how he saw defenses, how smart he was, how he had that escapability, there is a physical requirement that you have to play in the NFL. And I think that a lot of people are potentially going to have Cade Klubnik as their QB1 going into the year. And I can understand that, again, because I came from the school of thought of Bryce Young being my QB1 wire to wire when he was coming out of the 2022 draft. From everything that I have heard from people, Cade Klubnik is also the type of dude that you want to draft. Always trying to be better, great work ethic, leader.
You can see it.
Somebody who is asking the right questions at all times, always trying to challenge himself and his teammates to be a championship caliber of a player. And so when you're talking about the quarterback position in the face of a franchise, I think he's going to check all those boxes with any teams that sit down and talk to him throughout the draft process. So he has that going for him as well. Some strengths that I have written for him: knows the look and feel of clean fundamentals. He's a good athlete. He can keep defenses honest, with a little bit of RPO ability and escapability. He's got some impressive, layered throws across the middle and being able to hit between zone defenses, which I think you have to be able to do in the NFL. Some of the weaknesses from him: I think he's undersized for an NFL quarterback, as I mentioned. I think the follow-through can get cut short for him, which sort of causes ball placement issues because he typically misses high when he cuts that follow-through off. The big issue for him, Connor, is I think he has to throw on his toes a lot. When I watch him follow through, he's kind of doing the Bryce Young thing where he's standing on his tippy toes to see over the offensive line and to see where he needs to. And then that goes into when he is following through. There's another short quarterback that we're going to talk about here in a second. But when he follows through and he's on his toes, you cannot put as much power on your front foot because you are on your toe. You're cutting half of your foot in half. You're not planted to the ground. You're not throwing through your entire front foot because you're on your toes. And that sort of leans into, okay, I've got to be more of a touch passer. I can't really throw with as much zip and velocity. He's fine with the intermediate and short stuff. But just like Bryce Young, I get a little bit worried about it. Now, Bryce obviously played great in the second half of last season, but he really struggled during his rookie year and at the beginning of his second season as well. So we'll see how it works out for Bryce. Maybe if Bryce plays really well this year, it will be a little bit of a, okay, I can see this with Klubnik. But right now, I'm a little bit hesitant about it because I see these guys very similar, and I've seen the drawbacks of what it even does to a prospect that I thought as highly of as Bryce Young. So I do feel like these guys are very similar, and because of that, I can understand why people have him as their QB1 in this class, because there is a lot to like. I just get a little bit worried about the physical profile of being that small of a quarterback and, again, playing on his toes as much as he does to try to make up for that lack of height.
I think it's a totally reasonable call out. And I won't be shocked when people have him as the top quarterback or top two quarterback in this class. I was really impressed with Klubnik, where he landed as QB3 for me, just because you see such a nice balance of touch and timing throws, tight window velocity throws. And that's what happens when you have 28 graded out 28 big-time throws on a season. Like, you're going to see a bag of everything. I mean, this guy threw for 36 touchdowns and only had 13 turnover-worthy plays. He's comfortable throwing off platform. He's comfortable on the move. He has short area quickness to kind of dip that shoulder, evade sacks, evade pressure. The yards per attempt didn't really change when pressured. He's 7.5 when kept clean, 7.2 when pressured. And I think that speaks to the kind of athlete he is in and out of the pocket. I like that his deep ball, he consistently gave his wide receivers a chance. The adjusted completion percentage on his deep ball last year was over 51%. That is a really high mark in terms of just being able, your deep ball is more than a 50-50 shot in terms of the adjusted completion percentage. And the thing that stood out to me is his targets left a lot of throws on the field for him last year. There's a lot of easy drops when you watch the tape.
There were a handful of drops that I noticed as well.
Where it's like, this guy's a little even better than his impressive numbers. So Klubnik has improved drastically in his time there at Clemson. And you're right, Trevor. There is so much that he does well. There might be certain things like size that are just out of his hand. But I'm excited to see if he could even build off what was the tape from 2024 is just wildly impressive in terms of just playing the position at a high level and being an accurate, smart quarterback.
It's hard for me It's hard to find a lot outside of just his size that I don't like about him. And
yeah, he's an easy watch.
I might just have a little bit of recency fear of that just because of how badly I felt like I was burned with Bryce. But I think that the second half of Bryce's rookie season was again like something that was great. And again, if Bryce plays really well here in this third year with Carolina, it might soften because there is a lot of similarities, I think, between those two quarterbacks. And if Bryce can say like, hey, no, this build, this style, who I am as a quarterback, that can work at the NFL level, then I'll probably be able to lean into a lot more of what Cade Klubnik does and say, okay, there it is. There's my example. Because right now there's just a lot of other examples of quarterbacks who aren't built that way that struggle, especially ones who play on their toes a lot, like I feel like Klubnik does. Now, here's the thing about Klubnik. Clemson's going to compete for a national championship this upcoming season. Like, they're going to be one of the best teams in all of college football. I think he's going to be a big reason why. And so as that team is like racking up wins, I think a lot of people might come back to this podcast or the rankings or whatever, and they might be like, see, like, he's great. And again, like, I'm not saying he's not great. I'm predicting that he's going to have a phenomenal year. It's just more of I've got a little bit of a fear right now of these shorter quarterbacks because I was so confident that it was going to work for Bryce. And it worked the second half of last year. Let's see what it looks like this year. And maybe I'll sort of be able to soften my stance there with him being at number 5 and raise him a little bit higher. Who's number 4 for you?
Drew Allar.
Okay, I have Allar 2. Allar at 2.
Yeah, so I had Mateer, Allar, and Klubnik in a row. Okay. Allar at 4, and we've talked about Allar a lot because he was part of summer scouting last year, a part of the quarterback show in December. And he's somebody that you got to tip your cap to. I mean, for those really new to this, Penn State quarterback, 6'5", 240 plus pounds. He former 4-star recruit for ESPN Rivals. He was a 5-star recruit for 247. His dad played tight end for Eastern Michigan from 1992 to 1997. Allar, this is fast forwarding a year later, Trevor. He's made some jarring improvements compared to this conversation we had last summer, where we watched him and we were like, man, there's times, especially in bigger games, where he just looked lost, where he was aiming rather than throwing. He would just lose control of the ball. I thought the accuracy significantly improved in 2024. It's still not where it needs to be as a pro prospect. It's got to keep growing staying on the same trajectory that it's been on for the last calendar year. But this is a big-bodied player, prototype build for the position, big arm. There are countless examples of him being a full-field reader. He kept the ball out of harm's way for the last 2 seasons. I mean, the numbers don't lie with Allar. He had 2 interceptions in 2023, 5 turnover-worthy plays, where it felt like it was a little bit of a training wheels kind of situation. Last year, a little bit more meat on the bone opportunity, 8 interceptions, 8 turnover-worthy plays. So he wasn't lucky. The 8 interceptions were the 8 interceptions. 20 big-time throws, threw for over 3,300 yards, added over 400 rushing yards for a big-bodied player, picked up 36 first downs. So they put a little bit more on his plate, and I think that he still showed with putting more on his plate, he could still take care of the football. When he has a clean pocket, he can load up, and you see some serious NFL caliber zip on the throws.
Yep.
The USC game in 2024, I saw some heart and a gamer mentality. Like, we're down and out. Let's come out, absolutely on fire in the second half, and let's get this job done. And that matters a lot. Battle-tested adversity moments. Can you rally your team? Can you kind of step up in those moments where you're going to be put into a script that is going to put a lot of pressure specifically on you to step up? So I really, really liked that second half against USC. Some of the problems, though, still with him, there are still times where he's an aimer. The last 2 years, he's fumbled 10 times, and he's lost 8 of them. Ball security through the air has not been an issue. Ball security from keeping it off the ground from fumbling has been a real issue. I think he doesn't always match the pre-snap pressure looks with his post-snap decisions. And that was something I said last summer and is still a problem in bigger games this year. And those bigger games, I don't think he's played great football against top opponents or in big games. And that's something that this year, if it's a swan song at Penn State, I want to see that step up. I want to see you go out and play your best against Ohio State, or play your best in the Big Ten championship, or go out and have a college football playoff when it's all on the line. I don't want to see the lights get brighter and it's like, man, Drew Allar, he's still growing. He's been growing these last 2 years and it's been impressive, but he's got to have those big moments against better teams.
Yeah, it's got to be his best year, right? And again, like I think that if we're same exact Allar tape like we talked about earlier in the podcast, you judge it a little bit differently if we're talking about him last January than what we are this year. And you look at what he was in 2023, there wasn't a ton that was on his plate. They put way more on his plate in 2024, and I think he responded beautifully. Was it perfect? No. There's still plenty of like I have in here as his weaknesses. One of the points that I make is like, he still has throws that just should not be attempted. Like, just like, dude, you can't. I actually, like, I don't even respect you going for it. Like you can't even let this ball go. I was gonna say I respect you giving your guy a chance, but you can't. It's not even those throws. It's like that, dude. You cannot attempt these throws, even with the arm talent that he has. But that arm talent is there, legit NFL size. And again, the reason why I have him as QB2 is because of a lot of these players where we're talking about like, is he physically gifted enough for the position? And physical gifts aren't everything, right? We see some quarterbacks that obviously are able to make it work at the NFL level and be a little bit more cerebral than they are physically gifted and dominate that way. But a lot of the best quarterbacks in the NFL are the ones that have that type of talent, because that's just, it's what is required. And you're not really going to worry about that with Drew Allar. Something that I wish he would clean up a little bit more is, he did less of this in the first half of the season, where his front foot, when he would be throwing the football, his front foot would be like open, like his hips would be open, and that would cause you talk about him like aiming the football,
right,
instead of just like kind of like letting it fly and getting where it needs to. When you open it like that, like then all of a sudden you get a little bit more sidearm with your release, then you're not as compact as you were before. And that led to a lot of like accuracy issues, like true ball placement issues, because his accuracy scores are fine, but true ball placement's a little bit different for him. And I just kind of felt like I noticed that he was just sort of losing his fundamentals, and he was letting that front foot kind of like swing open on his throws, where you go watch that West Virginia game, man, he is basically as compact as you want him to be. That front foot is staying exactly where it needs to be. The shoulders are pointed where the target needs to go, and he's just giving you NFL throws within that game. And it wasn't really until, again, the second half of the season, I felt like I saw a lot more of that. So I feel like we've got to make the throwing platform more consistent, whether it's in pressure or outside of pressure. His under pressure grade actually wasn't terrible. I think that a lot of people look at Drew Allar and they're like, oh man, he's terrible under pressure. He's not going to be an NFL quarterback. Like, I think he could be fine. He had of these quarterbacks that I watched that I'm looking at, he had the third highest grade under pressure, passing grade under pressure, second only to Cade Klubnik, and then Sam Leavitt, who I'm going to talk about here in a second, who I like a lot as well. But Allar just, he gives you so much that you want to bet on. He really does. He's not a dynamic runner, but he can run the QB power stuff for you. He can get those short yardage. You know, if the tush push stays around, he could do the tush push stuff, or he could sort of, again, like do the QB draw, the QB power work. I mean, he's got the ability to do all of that. But a physically gifted NFL quarterback, in my opinion, who looks the part. It's just a matter of, does he continue to increase the efficiency in which he plays here in 2025? So I think that brings us to my QB4, which is Sam Leavitt.
Okay.
I have Sam Leavitt at QB4 here. Red shirt. Now, I understand that this is a massive projection and a massive bet for me. This is kind of like what was the Connor Wegman for me last year. That's what Sam Leavitt is this year. So I apologize, Sam, if that's a kiss of death there for you. But I actually like a lot of what he brings to the table. He was just a redshirt sophomore. Actually, he was just a redshirt freshman last year. He's a former four-star quarterback from the state of Oregon. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year at Oregon his senior year in 2022. Went 12-1 as a team, ended up winning a state championship, committed to Michigan State. He was at Michigan State, redshirted that first year, transferred over to Arizona State, played right away. His dad played football at BYU. His brother played football at Utah State, and then for BYU, he went undrafted, but he actually played a little bit for the Raiders and the Packers in the NFL. Sam Leavitt is 6'2", 210 pounds, which is, at least that's what they have him listed at, which is 32nd percentile and 14th percentile. I would have called you a liar if I just watched him throw the football and you told me that he was only 6'2", 210 pounds. Because this kid's got a cannon. Like, there are other short quarterbacks that we talked about where I go, yeah, I mean, the arm strength is kind of, it's adequate for the league, but, how much is it more than that? I like Sam Leavitt because he's a little bit shorter of a quarterback, but, like, dude's got a cannon. I mean, he has got a much better arm than you would expect for his measurables. His best throws are high difficulty NFL caliber throws. They're hole shots between like cover two, where he has just got to rifle it to the sideline, and he does so. It's backside dig routes where he's, 15, 20 yards down the field. He's waiting for a clear out route on the right side. He got a backside dig coming on the left. He looks over the middle and just fires it in between either where the safeties are or where their retreating linebacker might be, or even like getting ahead of where the corner might be if it's a little bit of coverage where they're trailing him over the middle, whatever that looks like. Like, his best throws are like NFL difficulty type of throws. He doesn't have a lot of throws though. Like, right. I mean, he does not have a lot of action. He is. Let me look at the big-time throws. I just had them right here.
I had 12 written down.
So he had an 82.2 passing grade, almost 300 passing yards, but he's only got 13 big-time throws if you have no plays in there. But he only has 5 turnover-worthy plays. So he's kind of in the same spot that Drew Allar was in 2023.
Yes.
Where he's got 3.6% big-time throw percentage, which actually, like, isn't bad. That's fine. You want it to be a little bit higher, but, like, that's not bad. For example, like, Carson Beck's in the 4s, Quinn Ewers in the 4s, Garrett Nussmeier's in the 4s, Cade Klubnik was in the 5s, Drew Allar was in the 5s, but, like, it's realistic to believe that with more passes, he could get there. He'd get in the 4%. And then his turnover-worthy play rate, he wasn't throwing the ball as much, but he had the lowest turnover-worthy play rate of all these quarterbacks. He had a 1.1% turnover-worthy play rate. So if you can think that he's going to get better with more throws, he's going to get his big-time throw percentage in 4%, 5% range with that caliber arm that he has. And if the turnover-worthy play percent, naturally goes up a little bit, but it stays between 2 and 2.5%, now we're talking about a great quarterback. And I felt as though the tools that he brought to the table were too much to ignore, in my opinion. Like, It's big-time throws that were on the move, outside of structure, under pressure. The ball comes out fast. It comes out with so much pace. But, here's some negatives from him. And where he needs to get better is now just a redshirt sophomore, right? Because he was just a redshirt freshman last year. Fades off the back foot all the time. Will not step up into a muddied pocket. He throws fastballs all the time. He absolutely needs a changeup in there that he's got to bring to the table. The reads can be a little bit late, which he can get away with because he's got a great arm, but you want him to have a little bit better of anticipation there. And then the fundamentals, I think he has throws where his fundamentals are great. It's just not muscle memory for him right now, and he lets it go and he lets it, dissipate a little bit too much. So, anyways, like, I just think I'm kind of a sucker for the great plays that he's put out there. Again, I very much understand this is sort of my Connor Wegman, RIP Sam Leavitt. I'm sorry that I had to do that to you. But, like, there are too many good things that he brings to the table for me to not really, really want to get excited about there for Sam Leavitt.
I think what separated us on him, because I had him 11th, is just that I thought he looked smaller than his listed size. And I thought he played it kind of what you said about Klubnik at times. Is how I
didn't see that at all with him.
The backwards drifting all the time.
It's small quarterback stuff, but it's also like freshman Madden generation stuff. Like, I can coach that out of you. I can coach that out of you.
I hope so, because
you've been playing too much Madden, because that's how I thought of it. So.
It is amazing how he rarely ever puts the ball in harm's way, considering how chaotic of a player he is. Like, he is wildly chaotic. He's drifting backwards. He's fading away. He's making 3 people miss along the sideline and then running. He is so light on his feet. It's almost a ballerina at quarterback in terms of his scrambling, but the drifting, and you mentioned the lack of touch throwing on those running back dump offs, even on screens. The way he throws a screen drove me nuts. So it's all there for him to do special things consistently, but there's just some holes in his game that have to change, or else he won't be a first 3 rounds prospect.
I might be reading a little bit too much into it with him just being a redshirt freshman, but I'm really excited to see how he plays now that Cam Scatterbu is not dominating the offensive game plan. Like, they're going to build the offensive game plan around Sam Leavitt, and I'm very excited to see it. So we have 2 more quarterbacks. He's number 3 for me. I think he's number 2 for you, Garrett Nussmeier.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. He's another small quarterback, but we talked about him a little bit last year. He's the son of Doug Nussmeier, who was, he's been a coach basically everywhere. He's been an offense coordinator. He's been a quarterback's coach at the college level, at the NFL level. And you can absolutely tell that with Garrett Nussmeier. He could have very well, if he declared, perhaps been the second quarterback taken in the 2025 NFL draft. He ends up going back. We'll see what he could do and improve upon a year where it was his first year as a starter. But see, I felt as though I felt more confident in Garrett Nussmeier's physical abilities and his arm talent than I did Cade Klubnik's. And that's why I have them a little bit different here. It's just because, yes, Garrett Nussmeier is more erratic than Cade Klubnik is, but I think he's got a little bit more juice in his arm than Klubnik does. And that's ultimately why I had Garrett Nussmeier a little bit higher. This is somebody who love the big time throws, man. He is a live by the sword, die by the sword type of a quarterback, but 26 big time throws. He had the 18 turnover worthy plays to him. What was the average depth of target for him? It was, now I can't find it. I'll find it at some point. But he's somebody who just continuously wanted to push the ball down the field.
Yes.
He is pretty fearless over the middle, I thought, in the film that I watched of him, which I love. You've got to be able to attack over the intermediate middle at the NFL level. And like I said, he's a gunslinger quarterback, but he's the kind that gives you the throws that you need to attempt every single week to win in the NFL. So I had him at number 3. You had him at number 2. What do you think of Nussmeier?
You nailed it. The film is just littered with high-level throws. He wants to push the ball down the field for explosives. He has an advanced IQ for a college quarterback, which does not surprise you with his upbringing. There's notable pre-snap reads of pressure. Like, you see him pre-snap looking things over and understanding exactly what the defense is going to do to him and what it's going to give him. I love that he hangs in to take a hit while firing the ball with velocity. He climbs the pocket. He doesn't drift out of the pocket. He's not the type of athlete that can get away with that. And Garrett Nussmeier's best ability is his self-awareness. He knows exactly what he is, exactly what he's good at, and never tries to be anything more. I am a pocket passer that is going to try to win at first with my mind and second then with my arm, and that's it. I'm not going to run around and be out of control and be chaotic, and that's how I'm going to win. He's only sacked 15 times last year, 91st percentile sack rate. Doesn't really take a ton of bad sacks. No, throws targets open rather than waiting for them to be open. Things. Nussmeier would have been, in my opinion, I agree with you, Trevor, he would have been the second quarterback taken if he declared for last year's draft over Jackson Dart. I really believe that.
Yep. I'm with you 100%. I think that I think that there's just so many great NFL things that he does, and I'm just looking forward to having another year to sort of analyze him, because it's his second year as a starter, because he was only a first-time starter last year, and getting another year, like, okay, can we string together consistency here? Because if we can, I think the NFL is going to make him a first-round pick. I really do, even with his lower size. So that's at number 1. We are in unison here at number 1, unless there is a player that you have watched that I have not watched that you have at number 1. Am I surprised? No.
Rocco Beck. You are my number 1 quarterback. Iowa State quarterback, Rocco Beck.
Yeah, because ball. That's why. That's why I'm not surprised.
It's just,
we're talking about Arch Manning.
We're talking about
Arch Manning from Texas. Arch. Okay, so I didn't mean to cut you off there. What were you about to say?
No.
About were you say about him or
no?
Rocco,
It's just,
or what?
No, I did watch Rocco Beck. He didn't make my top 15. Shout out to Iowa State. Go Cyclones. Arch Manning, I mean, I kind of want you to run away with this one, but
Okay.
the combos are going to look like this. There's no way he's in this class, which I've been pretty adamant about. I think there's a good chance Arch is in this class. I still have to evaluate him like he is, because there is every bit of a chance that he says, you know what, screw it, I'm going to the NFL. The second thing is he hasn't played a lot of games. There was enough for me, Trevor, to watch from last year to write down strength after strength after strength. And summer scouting is about projecting forward, not evaluating like the draft is in a month. Okay? And with Arch, whether it's the combination of the size, the athleticism, the escapability, throwing on the run, full field reader, can play in congested areas, doesn't need a ton of space to unleash throws. The deep ball is a very, very real weapon. He is a legit threat to run and big body that breaks tackles. This is all there for a guy that you can project as a future number 1 overall pick.
I agree with you 1,000% about him. I think there are going to be a lot of people that are going to say, hey, Arch Manning's not going to declare. This is all pointless. Until January 15th of 2026, or whatever the hell the deadline is, until that day passes and his name is not in the draft pool, I am going to evaluate him as if he is in the draft pool because he is draft eligible. And I agree with you. People are going to also say, you can't judge him. He hasn't started a full year. Well, this is crazy having him number 1. There's enough there. There is enough there. This dude is special. It's not just because Manning is his last name. He is a special, special quarterback. I mean, that goes into it because you see that in his play style, but he's 6'3", he's 220 pounds. He's 55th percentile, 47th percentile for the position. So right around the middle of the pack for the position. 5-star quarterback from New Orleans, Louisiana. He started on varsity as a freshman. He was the first true freshman quarterback in his high school's history. Actually, first in the last 40 years, I should say. He was the number 1 overall player in his recruiting class in 2023, and he was the 28th highest rated recruit in 247 history. He committed to Texas, obviously, redshirted his first year in 2023, and then he was a backup to Quinn Ewers in 2024, but he had a couple of games where he was able to come in either because they were blowing somebody out or when Quinn got hurt. This isn't, for anybody out there that doesn't know, like, this isn't Peyton or Eli's kid. This is Cooper's kid, the third Manning brother. So it is Peyton and Eli's nephew. It is funny because if you watch him play, I know Manning is his last name. He don't play like his uncles.
No, his dad was a receiver.
But he plays like his grandfather. Let me tell you, he can run. That is the plus here for everything. So just some strength. I'll list them off, some strengths that Arch has, because like, sure, we can list off some of the stats, but it's really, there's not really a point in listing a lot of the stats just because he hasn't had a lot of playing time. But the strengths for him, and you got to remember, this is a redshirt freshman that we're talking about here. Very fundamentally sound quarterback for how young he is. He holds onto the ball strong when he is scanning the field as to not fumble. I noticed that from him. Fantastic natural accuracy, including 40 to 60 yards down the field. Just beautiful accuracy naturally from him. Plus mobilities for scrambles. Good when he is throwing on the run. He can execute RPO offenses for you. He has such a tempered demeanor where, like, he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low, no. Whether it's a 60-yard throw, whether it's a 5-yard throw, like, he is treating it all the same. And that is just such a hidden benefit of a quarterback, is to be even-keeled. They talk about that all the time. Well, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. Some guys lean into the emotions of the game, but Arch is just going to be so cool, calm, and collected, I think, just as a quarterback. And if we've already seen that from him as a true underclassman and a redshirt freshman, to me, he's only going to get more confident the more playing time he gets and the older he gets. Connor, the weaknesses that I have of him, like, we'll get to evaluate more as this upcoming year, as his first year as a full-time starter, but he's got incredible, ideal footwork, in my opinion, but he can just be a little bit robotic at times, just because he doesn't have the playing time to, like, have that natural feel. And then he kind of needs to improve how he manipulates safeties and the defense overall with his eyes, because there are times when he's staring at his receiver, again, because he just doesn't have a lot of live action. The only real negatives I have of Arch Manning are things that are very easily corrected, especially for a player that shows the fundamental high football IQ that he has when you get more playing time. And so, could Arch very well not declare for this upcoming draft? Yes. It's only 1 year with him as a starter. He could easily go back to Texas, especially if they don't win a national championship. He'd go back to get his degree. He'd go back to win a title. Or he could just go back to get more experience and play at the college level. However, if the flashes that we saw from him, even just last year in small sample sizes, becomes a full sample size in the SEC, he will be the projected number 1 overall pick.
Right.
And if you are a projected number 1 overall pick, I don't know how you say no to the NFL unless, I don't know, you don't like the team that's picking number 1.
That's it.
Maybe I guess you do that, but he is, Arch Manning is legit. He's all that. The hype is absolutely worth it. And I easily had him as QB1 in this draft going into this season.
Yeah, it was not very hard, honestly. With Arch, obviously, and a number 1 quarterback, at least this year in summer scouting, you love to have a ceiling. But I also do think there is some kind of floor there, because I think he is just going to be that good in a full-time role. And he obviously has a higher ceiling than Nussmeier, Klubnik, I would say more so than Allar. And then the floor already, to me, is higher at the position than John Mateer, LaNorris Sellers, like players along those lines. It was 2 games in, and I was just like, man, this is everything you would hope for the next Manning quarterback. And that's a hard, that is, like, you mentally, I want people to grasp this. That is a very difficult bar for an 18, 19, 20-year-old, because as a scout, you naturally go in, no matter how hard you try to clear your mind and filter out any biases. You don't want to be disappointed when you watch the next Manning. And I was the furthest thing from disappointed when watching him, Trevor.
For him to live up to those unrealistic expectations is pretty nuts. It is pretty crazy. I have an early pro comp that I'm not going to say, because it's even more, it's just more like unfair for the kids. So if he has a phenomenal year, if he plays the way that I think he's going to play, I'll tell you what the player comp is when we get to December and January, when we're doing the quarterback episode again. But he's so talented. Again, I am so excited to watch him and all these other quarterbacks. This is very fun to do this exercise. You want to recap real quick? Go 15-1, and then I'll go 15-1, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, 15 for me was Miller Moss, who transfers from USC to Louisville this year. 14 for me was Darian Mensah, who goes from Tulane to Duke. 13 was Eli Holstein at Pitt. 12 is Carson Beck going from Georgia to Miami. 11, Sam Leavitt at Arizona State. 10, Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. 9, Luke Altmyer at Illinois. Number 8, Fernando Mendoza, who goes from Cal to Indiana. Number 7, I want to make sure I nail it because I've only said it once, and I feel like I got it really good. Nico Iamaleava. We'll get there. We'll nail it for the rest of the time. That was brutal. Who goes from Tennessee
I'm just gonna
to UCLA.
I'm gonna tell Ryan, just like stitch the way you said it before.
Over
right
that.
There. Yeah, just,
like a spaghetti western.
Stitch it right over that.
Nico Iamaleava. Oh, goodness. LaNorris Sellers, South Carolina. He was 6 for me. 5, John Mateer, who will be playing at Oklahoma this year. A lot of eyes on John Mateer. 4, Drew Allar at Penn State. 3, Cade Klubnik at Clemson. 2, Garrett Nussmeier at LSU. And number 1, Arch Manning, the starting quarterback for Texas this year.
15, I had Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. 14, Ty Simpson, hopefully being the first full-time starter here in his first year there at Alabama. Not his first year. His first year as a full-time starter at Alabama. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. 13, I got Connor Wegman, who is now at Houston. 12, I got Aidan Chiles at Michigan State. 11, Jalon Daniels from Kansas. 10, Carson Beck, who was at Georgia. Now he's at Miami. 9, Fernando Mendoza, who was at Cal. Now he is at Indiana. 8, John Mateer, who was at Washington State. Now he's at Oklahoma. LaNorris Sellers at South Carolina. Nico Iamaleava, who was at Tennessee and now at UCLA. Pays to have a wife who works in the SC Network. 5, I got Cade Klubnik at Clemson. 4, Sam Leavitt at Arizona State. 3, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. 2, Drew Allar from Penn State. And then number 1, Arch Manning. We would love to hear from you guys. We always do. This is a really, really cool episode for you guys to get involved. Best way to do that's the comment section, youtube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange. We would love to hear your takes on our rankings, but we would love to hear your takes just on quarterbacks in general. You don't have to just give us your takes on our takes here. Give us your top 5s. We would love to hear from you guys. We know that you listen to this podcast not just because it's entertaining, but like you guys are draft nicks too. We know that you got takes. We would love to hear them. Give us the scouting reports. Give us the thoughts. Give us the rankings, whether it's a top 3, a top 5, a top 15, a top 30, whatever you addicts have. We would love to hear from you. I watched other quarterbacks. Connor did as well. So if you have any questions of like, hey, did you guys watch this guy? Did you watch this guy? If we have, we'll give you our notes on him in the comment section. Or if we haven't, we can probably get eyes on him and probably get back to you as the summer goes on. I think that's about it. Summer scouting obviously fully underway. So every Thursday we're gonna have another episode for you guys. At least most of the Thursdays. Summer might be a little bit different. We might have to go be a little bit flexible with how we're doing things. But it's in full swing now. So quarterbacks this week, running backs next week, and then we will kind of go down the position groups and make sure that you guys are fully ready for the upcoming college football season and the 2026 NFL Draft. Connor, anything else before we get out of here?
It's good to be back in the swing of things. And what better way to kick it off than with the quarterbacks, man. I love doing this. Thanks for everybody that sticks with us throughout the entire year. You are the real ones. I know we get a nice boost, a nice spike, I'd like to say, leading up to the draft. But it's a little extra special for the people that are here getting in on the depths of this draft class almost about 11 months out until the actual thing.
If you discovered NFL Stock Exchange for the first time this past draft season and you are still here rocking with us, getting into the early parts of summer scouting for this upcoming draft, 1, welcome. It's a fun journey that we get to go on here on the show. But 2, again, comment in it. Be like, yo, I found you guys this spring or this winter. I'm here for the first time for summer scouting. We'd love to obviously smash that like button and sort of interact with you guys in the comments and welcome you to the Attic community. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. As always, I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Connor Rogers saying thank you again so much for watching and listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Oh, it's so good to be back. We'll see you guys next week for summer scouting and the running back position. See you then.